Joining me today is Darcy Swan. Darcy is the Development Director for the Enhance Hamilton County Foundation. Thanks so much for joining me, Darcy.
Thank you for having me.
And how long have you been with the foundation now?
I think I've been here 6 years.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. Well, thank you for your many years of service and leadership. That's great.
it's been a fun ride so far, for sure.
Yeah. So to kick us off and to get things started, I would love to know if we were in Hamilton County for the day, what is the top thing we need to do before we head home for the night?
That's a really good question. We have a lot to offer in Hamilton County, but I think if you had one thing to do, I would recommend getting out and enjoying our natural resources. And it's countywide. We have amazing walking and bike trails. We have a beautiful county park with a lake and cabins for rent, as well as camping, wonderful fishing. We have the Boone River for kayaking. We also, in addition to the trails that connect the county park to Webster City, we have beautiful bike paths and walking paths down in the Jewel Ellsworth area as well. So we have a lot of wonderful natural resources to get out and enjoy. So I would recommend that.
That sounds great, especially as we're all looking to get out of our houses over the past year and moving forward. That sounds like a
For
great
sure.
resource.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
All right, so jumping into kind of our topic for today, we are focusing on leading in times of crisis. And the Enhance Hamilton County Foundation has really stepped up as a leader to address the need for childcare throughout your county and really the crisis that has emerged around this need. So how did the foundation become aware of this area?
That's a really good question. Back in 2016, the board conducted a community needs assessment to determine where there would be areas of opportunity for the foundation to maybe get involved and make a difference with the resources and the tools, that we offer. And out of that needs assessment, childcare rose to the top. And take note that that was 2016. And so that's been several years ago.
Mhm.
And that conversation over the last couple of years has really, it's hard to get your arms wrapped around it because at that time we were really looking at it as the business model is broken. So we got to figure out how to fix this business model and how does the foundation play a role in that. And about the time that we were having serious conversations, I actually attended one of our affiliate partner meetings in Des Moines, and Dawn Oliver Wyand with the Iowa Women's Foundation was one of the panelists, and she was talking about the childcare crisis in the state. And I came back and I shared that information with the board, and that started conversations going again. And then shortly after that, I was in Grinnell at the Iowa Rural Summit, and Dawn was doing a workshop, and I attended that, and then I stayed after and talked to her, and one thing led to another, and we hosted a forum with community leaders and such, figuring that's how we can play a part in maybe
Mhm.
solving or alleviating a little bit of the pain that's being caused through this childcare crisis. And so we, brought people around the table. Over the lunch hour, we had the community leaders, and they talked a lot about, oh, we need to fix this and we need to fix that. And then in the evening, we had the daycare providers themselves, and that was a whole different deal. They saw it from a very different angle. We need employees, we need workers. It's not a matter of we can't figure out the business model. It's more of we've got to figure out how do we get employees to
Mhm.
fill those spots. And then shortly after that, the county supervisors ended up holding a meeting, and we were invited to that. We are very fortunate that one of our county supervisors is a past president of the foundation and a board member. So he is very in tune to what we do. And so he had us attend that meeting. And it was interesting because this was business leaders, city officials, county officials, and the number one issue that they felt that they were facing from a business standpoint was childcare.
Mhm.
So it reaffirmed that
Wow.
our needs assessment back in 2016 was accurate. And then it was like that day, a huge paradigm shift occurred. It was no longer that the business model is broken, it's an economic development issue. And
Okay.
then businesses started getting their arms wrapped around it a little more. And so we fast forward a little bit. We have a county economic development director who is focused on the child care issue. That's one of her top priorities. And since then, they have formed a child care coalition, which the foundation has a seat at the table.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And so we're working with them on trying, um, well, let me back up a little bit. Our asset development committee has been working through this whole time on a field of interest fund for childcare. But again, we were looking at it as the business model's broken. How do we fix it?
Hmm.
And not, it's an economic development issue. So now the light bulb has gone off. And so we're taking that field of interest fund and working with this coalition to develop our own childcare fund and forming a committee to oversee, recommendations for distributions of funds and things like that. And there's other really awesome things going on in our county now that we've kind of shifted that paradigm thought process to that economic development angle. So
Sure. Yeah,
it's
so
it's
kind of the steps are, first was the community needs assessment, so identifying the need, then
yeah.
being a convener, bringing the groups together to discuss, and then finally, having the financial support behind it all.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of discussions because businesses need a place to put their donations.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where we got brought to the table. And I honestly don't know if a few years ago we would have been brought to the table. I think it helps having a past board member in a position like that. But also, our board is thinking so much more proactively today than they ever have before. And
Hmm.
so we're having a lot more robust conversations, bigger impact kind of conversations with organizations and donors than I've seen in the time that I've been here. So it's a great time for our foundation. We've got a lot of momentum, even coming out of 2020, which is, a lot of this kind of went down in 2020 with the county economic development director and this coalition being formed. So
Sure. Well, it's been really incredible to see how the foundation has taken a really active role in addressing this need and just really stepping up for the community.
yes, it has, and I kudos to our board. They no longer want to be known as an organization that just grants out dollars, which is wonderful. I mean, we're in our granting cycle right now, and it's such a good position to be in, to be able to help organizations be able to succeed with their missions and their projects. It's a great time to be working with charitable donors and connecting them to the causes they care about. That's
Hmm.
what we do, but we also want to do more.
Yeah. Any final kind of tips or wisdom you can share about how community foundations can step up in a leadership role in their communities?
I think it takes being visible, but that comes from having your board engaged. You
Hmm.
want a board that is active in the community, that can see opportunities and really understands what the foundation does, so they can have, if they don't feel comfortable, they can at least direct them to the director of the organization to say, hey, go talk, like in my case, go talk to Darcy, or hey, Darcy, I was just at this meeting and this came up. Is there something we could do to help?
Mm,
And being able to identify that. And it takes a while for a board to get comfortable. Um, I think one of the smartest things that I have learned through this job, in this position, is that we don't ask for money, right?
right.
So we're not selling anything. So what a great place to be, right? We're there
Yeah.
to help charitable donors make a positive impact, and also to help organizations be able to carry out their missions and be sustainable. And what an awesome position to be in. So when your board finally realizes that we're not selling anything, in fact, I've
Hmm.
had one particular charitable donor tell me that, why didn't you come talk to me? You never came and talked to me. Why didn't you try to sell me? And I go, I don't sell you anything. I'm there as a resource and a tool for you.
Hmm.
So once that they kind of understand that, I think that is a huge way to make a significant impact, is having that board truly engaged and understanding and not afraid to bring it up.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about what's going on in Hamilton County. And to kind of finish up our conversation today, I would love to know one thing that you're hopeful for the Community Foundation moving forward.
I would like to have more seats at the table. I think we're just at the beginning of that.
Hmm.
I'm getting a lot more phone calls to say, hey, we're thinking about doing this, or we heard you guys were the ones to go to talk about this or that. We have several capital campaigns going on, and the foundation is going to play a good role in that, for those organizations. So I think, just for me, I'm hopeful that we can continue the momentum and that we can continue to be, if nothing else, just one of those initial seats at the table. Um,
Hmm.
we don't have to be there for every conversation, but at the beginning, it's good to lay the foundation work and say, hey, here's what we can provide. And when you're ready, come back. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what I hope the most for this next year.
That's great. And you're definitely on your way to that
Hopefully.
position. Yes. Oh, well,
So
thank you again for joining me today, Darcy. This has been great.
thank you. I appreciate you guys taking the time to, ask some questions and find out what we're doing. So thank you.
Absolutely.